Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Kamal. I'm a medical doctor. Recently, I've been appointed by the government of India, Andhra Pradesh state, as health advisor. In the past 27 years, I've been working with the United Nations, mainly WHO, UNICEF, and other international organizations, say last in almost like 30 countries so far. Mainly, I've been working in the conflict countries, and this is basically what I've been doing. So this is my short introduction. Now, I have our guest, Myron Jackson. I take the pleasure to invite Myra Jackson. Myra Jackson has enjoyed a diverse array of hefty careers as an electrical engineer. She's an organizational development professional, systems thinker, and master trainer. Myra served on the UN Open Working Group on Sustainable Development Goals, those 17 Sustainable Development Goals, for more than 2 years, starting from March 2013. She designed and delivered many seminars and on business management, emotional intelligence, and heart coherence techniques at very renowned universities like Harvard University, Stanford, Rockefeller, and Duke universities. These are very, very well-known universities. Myra also led efforts to communicate the 17 SDGs, UN SDGs, from the global to local in her role as UN representative and focal point on climate change. She is a senior advisor on Whole Earth Civics. She is UN delegate for Engaged for Climate. Engage for Climate. She serves on the UN Harmony with Nature expert platform. She's a visiting instructor at Colorado College on sustainability. She is also mindfulness fellow for spring 2021. Myra earned this title, I think it's a very respectable honored title, of Diplomat of the Biosphere, awarded by the Stockholm Resilience Center, and speaks internationally on the SDGs, climate change, and the rights of nature. I think this is a really great honor to have Myra today on board. Okay, Myra, let's begin. Let's begin. Today's topic is biodiversity of inner and outer resilience. So Myra, now the floor is yours. So I have this this question. Before I start the question, today is this World Environment Day. To my understanding, Environment Day is because of my background coming from the UN, environmental health, water, sanitation, hygiene. So that's my understanding of Environment Day and the kind of food we eat, the water we drink, the air that we breathe, and the climate that makes our planet, they all come from nature. So on that note, I would like to hear from you more and more this the kind of actions, the awareness raising on this environment thing. So now the floor is yours, Myra. So please tell us what you would like to contribute to our listeners on this day of environment. Please.
Well, thank you so much, Raj. It's good to be with you. And I know today we're being mindful of muting between, and I know that you will mute as I'm speaking your mic. And so it's wonderful to have a dialogue with someone who has served in the world focused on public health, Dr. Raj. It's so nice to be with you and the listeners today. You know, in 1974, the United Nations did really initiate this idea of World Environment Day, and that was happening in the context of young students in universities who had organized the first Earth Day in 1970. And in the United States and around the world, I think governments began to respond. In the United States, they created the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the UN responded by creating this UN Environment Day. And it's really a vehicle, a primary vehicle for the United Nations to raise awareness around environment and to raise the kind of ambition that brings about real action in terms of protecting the environment. And during this time in which we are clearly in the face of climate change, a changing planet, it has become an important day for mobilizing and for raising, giving attention to all those things that are connected to the environment. And from a United Nations point of view, the framework of the Sustainable Development Goals. And you know, Raj, I worked on that committee. We see it as all interrelated. And biodiversity is the theme this year for World Environment Day. And so the theme of celebrating biodiversity is very much linked to the activities of this particular World Environment Day 2020.
Oh, okay. So now I move on. That's a great response, Myra. I think it's very clear. I move on to this next thing, which is biodiversity. To me, biodiversity is, this quality, the quality of naturality from nature. This natural flora within us, and the food from nature that we eat, the water that we drink. These elements, the 5 elements within us in our body. All of these are from nature. This whole body is composed of these elements. So these things so the whole biodiversity is within us. And so it becomes every single individual's responsibility to ensure that we maintain this biodiversity within us. And biodiversity, to my perspective, to my understanding, is everywhere. Within us, outside the world, everything is interconnected. They're all interconnected. Our existence, our whole existence depend on each other. So this is my understanding of biodiversity. So now, Myra, why biodiversity, and what do you like to add on this biodiversity? For us, this topic is a very great topic. So please, can you explain to our viewers what it is?
You're right. I mean, all that you've said, Raj, is absolutely so. This is the biodiversity being the focus of this year is really quite specific to the fact that what's happening on the planet right now, particularly now, because this is a moment in which it has become, we feel that time is out. We're running out of time with regard to these concerns. And so the reason that 2020 is a critical year is that we're seeing this short window of time in which we must take action And I know that you understand this well, Dr. Raj. So the nation's commitments to preserving and restoring biodiversity is stronger than ever. And with China hosting the 15th meeting of the Convention of Parties on Biodiversity, there is a strong move to bring these conventions to really ramp up the ambition amongst nations to preserve and restore biodiversity. So that's one part of the conversation, is what's happening with global leaders and with nation states. But I want to bring it home, because Raj, you know, as people, we have lost our identification with the earth. And this loss has really given rise to the toxic, trauma-based, and violent world we're seeing. The well-being of the planet and all of its inhabitants, right? They're showing signs of breakdown. We see the signs of breakdown. We're seeing it with COVID-19. COVID-19 is one of those signs. The pandemic is a sign of this loss of biodiversity. And so we're living during a massive sixth extinction of plants and animals that we depend on. And that vast loss of biodiversity has not occurred for over 65 million years. And 99% of what this loss is all about human-caused activity. So we have a lot that we can do to preserve and protect life. But more than that, biodiversity is one of the 9 planetary boundaries. You mentioned my title of Diplomat of the Biosphere from Stockholm Resilience Center. That was from the studies on those planetary boundaries that I did during the time of working on the Sustainable Development Goals. And Earth's biodiversity provides for her resilience, if we want to think of Earth as mother, and her ability to self-regulate the systems of the Earth come out of the richness of that biodiversity. So biodiversity, whenever you hear it, I want all listeners to think about resilience. And then I want to lead them to where you were taking them, Raj, and that is to the inner. Because life is holographic and holistic, that we know. And so there is a direct correspondence between what is happening at the macro level in the earth body to the micro, which is our body. Not only does the earth, but we humans have our own loss of inner biodiversity happening at the same time among the microbes that consider your intestines and my intestines their home. And that lack of diverse forms of microbial life within our intestines and our body that ensure a healthy gut flora is a loss that is showing up in pandemic forms of obesity and also the loss of mental wellness. We're actually becoming unwell through the process. So if we really want to look honestly at the wellness of the planet and the wellness of people, we need to see that they're linked together. They're walking side by side, that the assimilation of nutrients and the ability for the body to get rid of the toxins, and all of that depends on having a healthy gut flora, which means our form of biodiversity, and which also means a form of resilience within human species, as well as all the other species of the planet. And so this is why biodiversity matters. And I think we can begin by celebrating the fact that we are connected, we are interrelated, and to act as kin to one another. Thank you for letting me respond on that. It's such an important conversation today. And if you'll unmute yourself, there you go.
That's really very informative, Myra. But just to clarify one thing, the resilience, they vary. The definition of resilience vary. You have resilience in material, like for example, resilience in engineering. Like if you take a material, you bend it, you stretch it, again, it has a resilience to go back to its own shape. And again, you have a resilience like in psychology. In the psychology, you have this, we speak about emotional resilience where to have the ability to cope with illness, with misfortune, and also traumatic experiences. So to cope with it and then come back. And we also talk about the socio and also the same time ecological systems, where we have these tendencies, our habits, we try to resist. We resist to keep them, and they're not good all the time. They're not good. So, that kind of resilience. So now, can you shed some light on when we say inner resilience, when we talk about inner resilience, this topic that we have today is focusing on which type of resilience. So that would be very good.
I appreciate that you brought up the emotions and the psychological forms of resilience. The challenge that many people see in all of this when they look in the outer world is they become overwhelmed. They experience stress. They don't feel in the face of the challenges that they could do anything. But actually it's untrue that we are powerless in the face of the challenges. The challenges very much depend upon our finding our own form of inner resilience. Because remember, again, I can't stress enough, and this is where science is supporting what we've all known through the spiritual traditions over time, is that when we look at the quantum dynamic, there is information flowing all throughout the universe. And our own inner resilience has a lot to do with what we're experiencing in the external world. And the external world is impinging upon and shaping our inner world. And that shows you what the recipe is. The recipe is reconnect. Reconnect with the larger field that is the earth, for one. I can't help but talk about it that way, being an electrical engineer. We were dealing with theory. We were looking at the effects of electricity. We didn't have any idea of the source. But guess what? All of life is wired to connect to the source of life. And when we connect to the source of life, and we're attending to that, and we're orienting the way we're being in the world according to that, we're tapping into something that, like the earth, is calibrated to support life and to support wellness. And so when we on World and Environment Day, one of the things we can do is to remember that our bodies are our most immediate environment, and these bodies materially are linked directly with the earth. And if we recognize that and restore our connection to nature, then we're doing something we're doing something that increases our resilience, because the earth naturally is constantly regenerating and restoring itself. It has been buffering our poor behavior constantly to keep the waters at the pH level that we can drink, despite we're working against her. And so imagine what happens when we begin to pay attention to the quality of our inner life and allow that to inform the way we're acting in the outer world. It can have an incredible impact. And so our state of mind, the state of our emotions, the state of our inner presence, we can feel it when a person walks into the room and they carry the light, as much as we can feel when someone walks into the room and they're angry. Well, all species respond to the quality of the energy. And so we're embedded in a living biosphere of the planet, and the planet is our larger body, in essence, truly. And so to realize this personal wellness and the resiliency, I think it's dependent upon the well-being of the planet as much as in this law of reciprocity, the planet depends on our state. So it's reciprocal. The earth by design cares for all life. So what I see is a formula here. I see that the quality of our self-care, our inner resiliency, is directly linked to group care, our families, our community, and then to earth care. And it just is a cycle that if we're attentive and aware and mindful of the light that we can carry, and we hold that it has a ripple effect. And this is the same, really, as care for the soil. Care for the soil is like saying care for the soul, in essence. The watersheds, care for the watersheds. Look, we've got a planet that has the same commensurate, corresponding percentage of water within us as water outside. So what kind of water we take in is directly related to the care of the watershed and the cleanness of the water that we're drinking. So we have to care for the earth's fresh waters. We have to take responsibility. There is direct relationship and we just must see it. So we go to the closest watershed in our community and we want to be sure then that it's clean. We do what we need to do to ensure that it's clean and that our habits are not interfering with the cleanness of the water. So we can scale it down to what we can touch and what we can have an impact on, remembering that the thing we are most impacted by is ourselves. I want to bring up another point, two other points before I close on my long answer, is that we receive most of the nutrients from the air we breathe. Yes, we do a lot of eating of food, but that's not where we receive our primary source of energy. It's actually from breathing, the atmosphere, and also from the quality of the spectrum of light that comes from the sun, from the day and the night. So good sleep and being out in that fresh sun air and sunshine is critical to the kind of life force and chi energy, the quality of that life force we want to have in our bodies. And so meditation and breathing becomes the most important thing we can do to feed ourselves the quality of energy our bodies require. The other thing is to remember that we need to allow food to be our medicine again and not rely on chemicals. Up until the time we're about 18 years old in most of the world, young people have had 10 to 20 courses of antibiotics. And that kind of medicine destroys all the good bacteria and biodiversity in our body, and it leaves us less resilient to disease. And so it's very much related to the wellness of people, the wellness of the planet. And thank you for letting me expand at length to what you started, being the public health professional you are. Can't hear you.
This reminds me one thing, which is very close to my public health area, which is community resilience. Wherever I go, I try to focus on means and ways how we enhance the resilience of our communities. Especially when I work in this conflict and in war zones, communities who are resilient, when we prepare them to become resilient, so such communities that do not depend on external assistance. They are prepared to disasters. They have means and ways on preparing themselves to face adversities, disasters. So this is a very important point you touched upon. It's all on self, how you prepare yourself. And this striking a balance between inner and outer resilience becomes so important, and this is really something I firmly believe on. Great, Myra, we move on to one more I think we have two more questions that I have. So these challenges, these environmental challenges that we face, these challenges on a day-to-day. So many people are overwhelmed with these challenges, and what would be your recommendations to our viewers on these challenges?
You know, I had a really strong experience during the Indonesian tsunami. And it really came from realizing that we had lost ground, that this lost connection, the sacred bonds with the earth were so lost that we did not understand what the elephants knew. And that is that that water was going to come back. The elephants in Indonesia went uphill. And only people that lived close, like the farmers, to the earth, when they saw the elephants go up, they knew it was important to follow them. And they did. Those were the lives that were saved. Why did the elephants know that when that water receded, it would come back and flood the country? It's because their senses are still connected to the earth. We've lost the doorways to our senses are so dull that the signals and the signs that nature provides for us all to thrive, we have discarded. So we have dull senses, the doorways to our seeing, our hearing, our taste, our touch, being able to feel the pressure of the, now we have to turn on the news and let the weatherman tell us the weather. Just a generation ago, my grandmother knew what kind of weather was coming 3 days out. And still people who live close to the land can see, they can read the signs, they pay attention to the animals. If the worms are coming up out of the soil, they know rain is coming. But too many of us, that we don't see those signs, they don't register. We don't have a sensitivity for it to register. You want to ask me what the real path toward facing our challenges are? It's the same. We must return to nature, to the original design in a sense. We're built to know. We're built to be able to read the signs. We're a part of the natural world. So we need to reorient to natural law and universal law. And that time in nature helps us to reconnect. It doesn't take much. We're reclaimed. Our senses can be restored. And so that conversation around inner resilience is also around listening. Listening. Being able to receive guidance that comes from listening to that which we're a part of. It's greater than we are. So it sharpens our senses. Our doorways can become more clear. We can practice to do that. And what happens when we do it in nature? Neurogenesis. Are you familiar with this term, neurogenesis? Listeners, it's about being able to create new brain cells. And there's 3 causes of it, and 2 happen in nature. When we're moving in nature, exercising, walking, breathing deeply in nature, with someone we love, with a sense of love and care, we create new brain cells. We create new brain cells, and the importance of that is that it helps us to stop, or we create new neuronal pathways and new habits. And when we're creating new habits, then our senses also can become more sensitive to life, to the importance of life. Now that's incredible technology that we have, but it is our inherent design. We just need to be more our natural selves and not press upon or dull the inner subtle technology that's resident within our bodies. All those nadis and networks in our body, we can unblock them by reconnecting to the earth, allowing food to be our medicine, And that inner resilience and that connectivity with ourselves, with each other, that care, that love of beauty, proportion, harmony, equanimity, all those qualities are a part of turning on the inner subtle technology. And we will see our challenges from a higher, more informed consciousness. And that's the opportunity of now. And I think the more and more the planet changes, the more it's calling us up to be more of our own humanity, to claim the humanity and claim the inherent design of our humanity, which is so linked with our divinity. So thank you.
Myra, I have a question. And in the interest of the viewers, with all this, we get so absorbed by this negativity, this hopelessness, that we've completely forgot that billions and billions of people who are in love, taking care of their children, helping their neighbors, rescuing their strangers, caring for animals, nurturing plants, and restoring ecosystems. All of this, saving lives, bringing beauty, celebrating the beauty to life, all of this. Yet, this inner resilience is all about the capacity to face horrors of life, the miseries of life, of this whole world. And then we cannot try to ignore them. So it is also about seeing the beauty and collaborating with compassion, with love, with care. So everything around us is so important. So having the strength to be actively hopeful in the face of calamity is very important. Now, bringing this COVID thing, I'm so deeply involved with COVID as advisor for the government of India, this Andhra Pradesh state. There's so much of suffering. Despite all of these containment measures we take, I walk into a red zone. As of now, we have 400,000 people we lost in this pandemic. We lost, and I think close to 4 million people, if I'm correct, are positive today. So we have all the containment measures. We are isolating people. We are putting people in isolation wards. We are putting people in quarantine centers. We are doing all kinds of stuff to contain this pandemic, to contain this outbreak. So despite of all of these efforts, the numbers are still spiking. We continue to suffer. So in this regard, I would like to have your views. I mean, what would be your tips or your thoughts on this? How would you? And it's very important because our people are part of this. They are at home indoors for now like 3 months now. So there's a suffering and there is isolation. So can you please shed some light on this? Thank you.
It's given us all an incredible opportunity. And I just really appreciate you reminding us of what's going on right now. And what I have been seeing for myself and with others is that in this hour, when many are falling to COVID, that the virus is mutating. And there's a real chance the conversations in the UN and the deeper conversations that we're all having is that we are in a COVID world and we don't see it really going away for some time. And so we may be adapting to the reality of a COVID world, meaning that there's so much toxicity, that these kinds of pandemics are sustained because of the environment. And this is why the inner resilience becomes more important than ever, because we have dormant capacity in our bodies that often viruses trigger. All the more important to be holding ourselves to see the virus not as an enemy, but as something that as we live through it will strengthen the species, will strengthen life, that there will be an exchange of information from the virus that will allow us to go into a system of greater wholeness. And that's what must happen, is that we must go into a system of greater wholeness, which what it looks like is greater cooperation and collaboration with the whole of life. That humanity is within an interconnected circle of life that we often call the web of life. We have overstepped and we need to come back into an accord. The virus is going to support that. That's what viruses do. They shuttle DNA and RNA. I saw this with the AIDS epidemic, HIV. When we saw some of the changes that happened in the bodies, the early reporting of those that had contracted the virus. Remember, we have viruses, they remain dormant, they become active. All throughout the environment, we're loaded with viruses. And they found, this is not often reported, but some people went into spontaneous remission who had HIV before there was any treatment in Africa. And then when they studied them, they found out that codons in their chromosomal pattern had become active and they took on super immunity. And when they studied each of those that did, you know what they found? That they were never succumb to the sorrow of the disease. They remained happy and elevated in their consciousness. Consistently, those were the ones that were able to, their bodies adapted. And so we can become actually stronger and more resilient. Now, I know that's a backwards way of answering it, but it's going to happen according to how much of the photons of light we can actually embody. That comes with joy and happiness naturally. Our bodies are designed to respond to life-giving hormones that help us regulate in these times, but we need to be able to access in the face of crisis our joy, our happiness, our deep states of relaxation. That is the parasympathetic part of the nervous system, and it will unleash those life-giving hormones that help us regulate. That's the straight answer I'll give you on that. And we do that best in conjunction with nature.
Absolutely. I think definitely, I think now the time to strengthen our inner resilience, I think through our diet, making sure we have the required immunity to more than anything else, it's our spirituality, practicing spirituality.
Our spirituality.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I think now the time is we are running already out of time for but no, absolutely. I mean, this is really very good to hear from you all of this. So now I think we move on to relaxation and then the meditation. If you have anything that you would like to add, please do. Otherwise, now we do some relaxation and then maybe followed by meditation session for 15 to 20
Just that I'm exceedingly optimistic and looking forward to the meditation.
Great. So now let's begin with our relaxation and then slowly do our meditation. So we start now with heartfulness relaxation for next 3 to 4 minutes. It is a preliminary to meditation. Close your eyes very softly and very gently. Let's begin with the toes. Wiggle your toes. Now feel them relax. Relax your ankles and feet. Feel the energy from Mother Earth entering the soles of your feet. Feel it. Move up your feet to the knees, relaxing the legs. Relax your thighs. The energy moves up to your legs, relaxing them. Now, deeply relax your hips, stomach, and waist. Relax your back from the top to the bottom. The entire back is relaxed. Relax your chest and shoulders. Feel your shoulders simply melting away. Relax your upper arms. Relax each muscle in your forearms, your hands, right up to your fingertips. Relax your neck muscles. Move your awareness up to your face. Relax your jaw, mouth, nose, eyes, and eyelids, earlobes, facial muscles, forehead, all the way to the top of your head. Feel how your whole body is now completely relaxed. Scan from top to toe. If any part of the body needs your attention, revisit and ensure that it is relaxed. Move your attention to your heart. Rest there for a little while. Feel immersed in the love and light in your heart. Remain still and quiet, and slowly become absorbed in yourself. Now gently focus on your heart, just where it is beating. Think that the source of the light that is in my heart is pulling my attention inward, and let this thought rest there. Let us continue this meditation. Let's say we do this for 15 to 20 minutes, at the end of which I will say, that's all. Please begin your meditation now. That's all. Okay. I would now like to take a minute to brief about heartfulness meditation to everyone. Meditation is defined as the thinking of one thing continuously. Meditation reveals the true nature of the object upon which we are meditating. This revelation comes not as a thought, but as feeling. Therefore, in meditation, we shift from thinking to feeling. It is a journey from the complexity of the mind to the simplicity of the heart. Heartfulness meditation is a system of relaxation, meditation, rejuvenation, or cleaning process, which give practical benefits for a more positive and impactful life. Regular meditation yields physical and mental well-being. Yogic transmission is the hallmark of heartfulness meditation. It is what makes this method unique. With yogic transmission, we transmit the very essence of spirituality. It is a sacred emanation from the original source. We could call it the essence of God. The whole idea of heartfulness meditation is to revive in us that which is sleeping in us. the true inner being, the self. So this is the essence of heartfulness meditation. So now, Myra, we come to the end of this webinar. Before we say goodbye to each other, I would quickly like to, there is an app called Hearts app. And this Hearts app is a meditation app that helps with relaxation, meditation, rejuvenation, introspection, and deep reflection. This app allows you to meditate with certified and experienced teachers all over the globe. Using this app, you can meditate right away or schedule sessions based on availability of these trainers. You can download this app. We will also share the links of the various other means, other resources. There's enormous resources. There's a lot of literatures, a lot of work has gone into this. So you have access to all of this. Okay, with this, Myra, it's wonderful, wonderful having you. Thanks for the time that you have taken to give all your insights, inputs, very valuable, very useful to our viewers. So with this, thanks so much. Thanks for everything. Thank you.
Thank you.